60 Minutes Overtime.
This week on 60 Minutes, we report on a quarter-century-long effort to reclaim the dead. On September 11, 2001, nearly 2,800 people were buried at Ground Zero, reduced to anonymous fragments in a grave of concrete and steel. The work to identify their remains has never stopped. Today, new technology is helping the New York City office of the Chief Medical Examiner keep a promise to do whatever it takes, as long as it takes. In the weeks and months that followed September 11th, 60 Minutes was there as workers labored with tortured devotion to comb through nearly 2 million tons of wreckage. At Ground Zero, they searched each bucket of debris before sending it on barges to Staten Island. There, it was sorted and spread over conveyor belts to be sifted by hand. They searched for anything that might identify a life: a wallet, bone fragment, a wedding ring.
I never give up hope that I'll get his wedding band back that I want so desperately, or that I'll get another phone call about some other remains.
Mark Petrocelli's remains were identified. In 2002, we spoke with his widow, Nicole, who had been told of 4 recoveries of her husband's remains.
There are many hundreds of families, in fact, most families, have never received that first notification. And it looks likely at this point that they won't.
But it's important for the families to remember that the recovery, the identification process will continue at the medical examiner's office for quite some time, probably almost a year. So there is hope.
Hope has endured longer than imagined. More than 2 decades after 9/11, police officers came to Ellen Niven's door to tell her her late husband's DNA had been identified for the first time.
We were actually putting up our Christmas tree. It was right before Christmas. And I was really blown away because I had no idea that for 22 years anyone had still been looking.
Ellen's husband, John Niven, was a 44-year-old insurance executive heading to his office on the 105th floor of the South Tower. 15 of his bone fragments were found. Scientists had tested them for years with no result. And then, in 2023, new technology linked DNA in his bone fragments to a 22-year-old swab of the cheek of his son, who was 18 months old on 9/11.
Tell me about John.
He was a very calm person, witty, very, very dry, great sense of humor, sort of a benevolent chuckle. He really was very open-minded. The older I've gotten and the more time has passed, the more you appreciate qualities that he had that were really special.
Do you remember the last time you saw John?
I do. That morning, he was in our living room in our apartment. He used to sort of feed Jack cherry yogurt for breakfast. I remember that distinctly. And he had his briefcase. He was flying out that afternoon. And he just, walked out the door and said, "All right, I'll call you later."
To this day, I cannot look at her wedding dress, and I can't look at pictures of Andrea now, because there's never going to be another picture. There's never going to be another memory.
25-year-old Andrea Haberman was on her first business trip. After landing late on September 10th, she reported for work around 8 a.m. at her company's headquarters on the 92nd floor of the North Tower. Over the years, her family has been reminded of Andrea with every call from the medical examiner. There have been 11 notifications so far to her father Gordon, mother Kathy, and sister Julie.
Tell me about Andrea.
She was beautiful, both inside and out, intelligent, very smart, and she was very much looking forward to the future. All of us.
She had a mind of her own, headstrong, very headstrong. If the color was white, she would prove it black.
She had this energy about her. She was outgoing in her quiet way. She was just very precise on, when she would talk and what she would say. When she loved you, you knew it.
Today, more than 1,100 families still wait for word. 40% of the victims from the World Trade Center have not been identified.
When you reflect on all that the medical examiner's office has done and is doing, what do you think?
I'm amazed. I'm satisfied that they are doing everything they can to give families a sense of peace, a sense of, yes.
I'm incredibly grateful, incredibly moved. I had no idea that this was happening. You do a lot of almost philosophical kind of soul searching, how important it is in human nature to either find a body or find answers, and even if this remain is infinitesimally small, there's huge symbolism in that.